Alright guys, quick disclaimer here before we start. You will see some frames dropping during the video, and that's not really because of the game, it's more because of I have 2 instances of Unity Editor, 2 instances of Visual Studio, and all these programs running, and I don't have the greatest processor. And not to mention, I'm also running the server on this computer as well. Obviously there will be a week for optimization, but that's not coming yet, but it's not really, the game isn't too heavy by itself. The other thing you'll notice is that there are some card values bleeding through the back of the card. This was very easy to fix. It's just something I forgot about. I fixed it while I was editing the video because it looked pretty bad. So just ignore that. It's fixed now, and I hope you guys enjoy. Hey guys, it's Pip, and this is my first official devlog for the multiplayer card game I've been developing called Reuden. So Reuden card game has a few types of unique mechanics that you may not see in other card games. These mechanics are vision and changing malleable terrain, which kind of spice things up. And even though it has simple board mechanics, something you can really easily wrap your head around, the terrain and vision really make the game what it is. Servers and databases are set up so you can play with other people at this moment. Is the server optimized? Not yet, but approaching the game's release is when I'm gonna actually start worrying about that sort of thing. We have a basic options menu in-game, and I'll be adding new things to customize it over the next few weeks or months. We have a basic collection menu where you can customize your deck and create multiple decks and take them into the queue. So I'll create one, yada yada yada. And we have a pretty ugly home screen as well, but it works, so we'll just keep it for now and we'll worry about making it pretty a bit later. Onto the gameplay. So the game loop does go full circle, so you can play the game fully, claim your victory, and go back to the main menu and start again. So there are vision mechanics, as I was talking about a bit earlier, which you can see here. There is terrain as indicated on these cubes here. It's a bit more visible when you zoom in though. You can see that there's indentations. Each card has a few values that we'll skim over here. I know that this is blocking this, but I'll fix that, no worries. This value is the card's power, which is primarily used in combat. This is the card's shield, the number that's blocked, which is used to defend the card from X instances of ranged attack. In this case, it's 3. We have the individual card's vision, how many rows it can see from its current row. We have the individual card's moves, how many times it can move in a single turn, or attack, moves to define either movements on the board or your attack. And finally, this is the card's range, over how many rows the card can actually attack. This says 0 here, so it cannot attack any rows. It may get assistance from other cards, however, that give it range so it can attack. Some cards may also have abilities, so when they enter the field, they'll get some sort of buff. Maybe you kill a target card or you draw. So there is a very solid event system in this game as well. So last week we did 2 big things. The first big thing was we implemented a hard logger, as you can see here from the client. Basically just debugs to a text file so that if there's a problem with a running client, I can get a better idea of what went wrong. And it's not like the standard debugging of a compiler, it's more like a generalized sense of what actually happens on the board. I'll pull up a file so you can see. Basically get the time at which it happens, and what actually happens then. I know it's very sparse right now, it's just very generalized, but you get the idea of what this does. And the second thing we did is we finished the databases and the collections page, which I'll show again here. You can create decks, load decks, rename decks, save the decks, and whatnot. So this week we're going to implement aura type cards to take onto the board. The aura can have positive debuffs or negative debuffs depending on the card. Also, I want to add emotes to the game so that testing will be a bit more fun. So my first thought on how to implement auras are to pass them through my ability event system as a permanent effect and tie them to the rows themselves. So basically we have on advance and on entry effects that would trigger other types of abilities, whether it be killing a unit or drawing a card, but instead we're going to add a hidden ability that moves the aura from row to row. But after about an hour of starting to implement it this way, I realized that I'm jumping through way too many hurdles trying to recycle my ability event system. So instead I'm going to make the auras something that the cards can store. That way the aura can follow the card to whichever row they're residing in. And grabbing the combined values of each card is easy. All we have to do is make a get values function in both the container and the cards. The container's get values function will be used to basically sum up all the auras inside all of the cards of the row. And then the cards get values function is basically just going to sum up the container's auras with this individual card's changing values. And it works pretty well. This card has an aura where it gives 1 shield to each member of its row. And as I move this to, let's say, the back row, you'll see that their shield values are updating. And you'll also see I passed a few turns, I instantiated a few more of these, and we have each one of them giving the aura basically 3 times in the same row. And all we really need to do to finish this is add to the description of the card what auras it's actually carrying with it. Alright, and as we can see here, we have aura giving 1 shield to each member of its row. Move it to the row, the shield updates, and for the sake of testing, we'll just test multiple types of auras for 1 row. Alright, so as a stress test, I added 3 auras to 1 card. Gonna cast it here, send it to this row. And so I have it adjusted by 2 power, 1 move, and 1 shield. So these resources, which previously could not move, can now move. And now he's actually at -1 right now. That'll be reset to 0 because he moved out of the row with the move. And his power and shield reset as well. And if I move this back with him, all the values update, he's back to 0. Alright, now on to the emotes. So I already have a button set up for the emotes, which gives different options. And they are buttons too, so you see they kind of do a little bit of a highlight when you step over them, but nothing really happens when you click them. The biggest part of the idea of sending emotes is that we basically just have to make a new communication from the client to the server. The server will just relay this message to both parties. So we created an emote enum on both the client and server side, so both sides know exactly which emote we're selecting each time and that it's an emote. Alright, so after setting that up, let's give it a quick test. I basically just want to relay the message of this white emote to the server and send it back. And oh, it works. Now that's me doing it. Let me pop over to the other client and see if they can do it as well. They can do it as well. That's cool. Can we do it at the same time? Let's give it a test. That's pretty cool. So yeah, it's a square box right now, but we'll just add later in the future, we'll add actual like smiley face, sad face, or what have you. And the last thing I added was just a server safeguard, so you can't spam the emote. It does a 5-second check. Each time you click it, you'll see I was just spamming it, but it didn't pop up until about 5 seconds after. Alright, so that's about it for this week. I know this wasn't really that much, it was just emotes and the aura cards, but a week without coffee is basically an unproductive week. I already conceded that. Next week will be filled with coffee, however, so we'll be getting a lot more done that week. If you have any ideas for stuff to put in the game, or if there's something that really just looks disgusting that I don't see right now that you would like me to change, just write a comment and I'll respond to it. I'll tell you if I do it. I might even add it in the next video. So yeah, help me out because I literally am just throwing this stuff at the wall. I'm the only one who sees this game on a day-to-day basis, so I would really appreciate the input. If you could like, that would be cool as well. And subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. I plan to release pretty much a weekly video, but depending on how heavy the code actually is for that week or that 2 weeks, it might be 2 weeks. But I do plan to release content. So thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.